news from Saudi Arabia is extremely disturbing. It seems a man tried to set the Kaaba up in flames. A man sneaked into the holiest of holy shrines of Islam, carrying kerosene, tried to pour it on the cloth that was covering the Kaaba and tried to set fire to it, but was overpowered in time by the security forces there. Cal, this is not the first time the Kaaba has been attacked. And since you are well aware of what goes on in the Middle East, can you give us some idea as to what exactly is happening there and what are the forces behind this?
Well, first of all, many Muslims, although Mecca and Medina are in Saudi Arabia, they're not happy with, they don't like the version of Islam that Saudi Arabia officially has, which is Wahhabism. Wahhabism is only endorsed by 5% of the Muslim population at most, which means over 95% are against it, okay?
No, but every Muslim firmly believes that the Kaaba is the holiest of holy shrines. So obviously there's something wrong with this man. He is not what would be called a Muslim in the true sense of the word.
Right.
So let's look at it from a different perspective. I mean, there have been attacks on the Kaaba, yes, earlier. If the Kaaba was actually taken over by terrorists at one time?
Yeah, in fact, that's what I'm getting at. In other words, while the Saudis may have physical custody of it, they actually won it in a war against what's now called Jordan and the Hashemite kingdom. That doesn't mean most Muslims are happy with the fact the Saudis have it. So in the 1970s, Mecca was actually taken over and held hostage for several days by a group of radicals, one of whom was the messianic leader of the so-called returning prophet, which is mythology, and they held the Saudis at bay for many days. In fact, French commandos had to be converted, quote unquote, to becoming Muslims so they could go in there and get rid of the terrorists.
So why did the French have to be converted to become Muslims?
Because according to Saudi doctrine, only Muslims can enter that area. So these commandos were not Muslims, but the kingdom was a little flexible, let's be politically correct here. They converted them, they went in there and took care of business. In fact, how they got rid of a lot of the commandos, in addition to standard techniques with weapons, is they simply poured water on the ground and used electric cables and electrocuted them.
Okay.
So this is just the latest attack. It's not that it occurs frequently, but it does happen. And then there's another issue there in that there's a split in the kingdom. This has been true since they had the terrorist attack in the 70s. Do you carry guns in there? You're not supposed to do that. So when somebody's overpowered by security forces, it's not like one guy shoots the bad guy. They don't have weapons, so it takes several guys to get them. And the fact is that, you know, things are not generally safe and secure there. Look, every year when they do the Hajj, a lot of people get killed and trampled very easily because it's not managed responsibly, as in putting people's safety first.
Yes, I believe a lot of countries are unhappy with Saudi Arabia's management of the Hajj, yes. I believe Iran has voiced certain displeasure regarding this. And a lot of people, even in Lucknow, even in India, are unhappy at the way the Hajj is managed. But it is unthinkable for a Muslim to try and burn down the Kaaba, and what's happened is actually very shocking.
Yes.
And it deserves to be condemned in the strongest possible terms.
Yes, regardless of what religion you are, you don't do this to other people's faiths. It's not right.
Thank you, Ken.